Welcome everyone to National Entrepreneurship Week, to EntreEd's kickoff to National Entrepreneurship Week. And for those of you that do not know about EntreEd, we're a 501c3. We've been around 40 years or so. We're celebrating 40 years this year. We are a national advocate for K-12 entrepreneurship. That's where we have our focus currently, even though in our previous history, our focus was much broader than that. We've sort of determined that K-12 is where there needs to be a focus. So that's what we've taken on for the moment. We have a solid national footprint. We've done a couple of things that you might find interesting. One is we created the National Entrepreneurship Education Standards a number of years ago. And we are one of the original charter members of this National Entrepreneurship Week. It was started back in the early 2000s through an effort with us and the Kauffman Foundation. And we've been celebrating it for a number of years since. So that's EntreEd. Next. This is our leadership team. That's me at the top. I have a undergrad in business, a master's in career and technical education, a doctorate in educational leadership, and I have taught school, and I've been with the West Virginia Department of Education for 28 years before I retired. And so even when I started teaching in 1978, I was teaching entrepreneurship. So I've been involved in entrepreneurship education since 1978. Also with us is Toy Hirschman. And Toy's got a very interesting background. Do you want to introduce yourself?
Yes. Hello, everybody, and welcome. Welcome to National Entrepreneurship Week. I'm so glad that you're all joining us this morning, or if it's whatever time it is where you are. So I'm Toy Hirschman. I've been with EntreEd for, I think 5 years. And with Jean longer than that, which is kind of a cool story. I have a background in mechanical engineering and then a master's in education, and about to have a doctorate also in instructional design. So and I've worked with Discovery Channel and a bunch of other places along the way. So love working with schools, love being in schools. Someday we'll be able to do that again. And I just that's me. Somebody chuckled. Is that Eugene?
I think lots of folks are eager to get back into school safely right now.
Yeah.
Also on your screen is Megan Westbrook, who is on the call with us today. She's been our communications manager for a couple of years and just does a great job. And then we've got Laura McCall, who is a regional director for us, and she runs a number of our programs in Kentucky and Tennessee and Virginia and West Virginia and North Carolina. So that's the leadership team as we have it today. Next. And you know, when organizations write missions, they put a whole lot of words in it to make it sound great. This is our mission statement, but effectively it tells you what I told you already, that we're into entrepreneurship education, and we do that through leadership in the field and professional development with teachers and advocacy, and our own networking and providing network opportunities for teachers, and that we believe in entrepreneurial capabilities for all students. And we'll get to that a little bit more later. Next.
And there you go.
And there you go. This is where we are, where EntreEd is right now. We're in entrepreneurship education for all students, kindergarten through 12th grade, every student, every year. I usually don't read an entire slide to you, but it's short and it's important. And that is where our focus is. All students, every student, every year. Next.
All right, so we're going to dive into, we'll have time at the end for questions, so don't worry, but we're going to dive into some of the challenges in entrepreneurship education and in entrepreneurship in general. And you'll kind of see they're really the same challenges because one leads into the other one. So the first challenge is that entrepreneurship is a driving force of our economy, of most economies, and is on the decline severely. That's a big issue. That's a big issue nationally. It puts us at risk. You know, small businesses are the engine of economies, and there's tons of research to back that up. I'm happy to share. But it's on the decline. So why might this be? Well, we feel that entrepreneurship is generally not taught in schools in K through 12. If you see entrepreneurship in a school system, it's typically at the high school level in a business ed track. And even in some of those, the entrepreneurship class either doesn't exist or it's an elective. So you're hitting a very small percentage of your student population and exposing very, very few kids every year to entrepreneurship. And we feel, as Jean mentioned, it's for everybody, every grade, every level, every class, every content area. And so because it's not generally taught to the larger population of students, young people aren't exposed to even the idea of entrepreneurship. I know that I certainly wasn't. You know, I have very limited understanding of what an entrepreneur was when I was in school and when I came out, and even as an adult. So we're just not exposing those kids and giving them that option. Even in career pathways and those career rotations that kids do in middle and high school, it's usually not even included there, where it's, you know, and in almost every career pathway, you could be entrepreneurial in that career field in some way. So because of this, we're not hitting the entire population of kids. And K through 12 educators who are amazing aren't taught in their pre-service teaching classes or anything. They're not generally given entrepreneurial exposure, so they aren't able to give experiences to students, which is where we step in, and we'll share some of our programs and initiatives with you here in a bit. But we're trying to give teachers that confidence that you can teach entrepreneurship in your math class, in your third grade class, in your high school physics class, whatever it happens to be. And teachers find really quickly when we meet with them that they're probably the most entrepreneurially minded group of people out there. They just haven't identified as such. And then we also don't typically expose students to everyday entrepreneurs. And the term entrepreneur means, you know, Oprah or Branson or, you know, Zuckerberg or some celebrity that's just so big in their mind, something nice to aspire to, but they don't really think about their friend's dad down the street that owns a restaurant, or their friend's mom who is a doctor who started her own practice, or the accountant that their parents use, or whatever. But when they see those kinds of examples in their community, that makes it more real and they can identify with those people better. So how do we address some of these challenges? And as we go through these, I'm not sure, we'll talk at the end, but as we go through these, think about whether you're from an organization, a foundation, or if you're a school teacher, or wherever you are and whatever you do, think about how each of these might impact you, or how you might maybe even want to work with us on some of these initiatives. So we'll go through all of these in a little more depth. And again, just kind of think about what resonates with you as we go through these. And we'd love for you to get involved with us if you're not already.
Probably our biggest program right now, the one that we're putting the most resources behind at the moment, is America's Entrepreneurial Schools. This is a school designation. We had some deep discussions about if we wanted to focus on every student in a building, how do we do that? And of course, the first idea is, well, you come up with the world's greatest curriculum. And of course, in our mind, that would have to be something that was appropriate in kindergarten and in juniors and for everybody. And also a number of our friends in this business, in this arena said, we don't need another curriculum. There are lots of really good curriculum products and projects and materials out there. So our method was to identify a school designation that any elementary, middle, high school, public, private, charter, any school can apply to be an America's Entrepreneurial School. And in order for them to accomplish that, they just have to deliver entrepreneurship education in some fashion to every student in their building during the school year. And we have some ways that the schools can do that. When their question is, how do we do that? We have an answer for that. And it involves training their teachers, professional development for teachers. Go back, Toy. It involves professional development for teachers and training that third grade teacher or that math teacher how to integrate entrepreneurship into what they do. What we have also figured out, though, is once schools get started down this pathway, they tend to go in a lot of different directions. And they've had lots of school-wide projects and third and fourth graders working together and even school system-wide projects. And we're very flexible about that. If it looks like they made a good faith effort to reach every student, we like that, and we named them an America's Entrepreneurial School. Thank you. This is where we're working at the moment. Those the orange states. There's 11 states that we have America's Entrepreneurial Schools in. The number at the top of 50,500 is several months old, and I think it's a little low right now, but you get the idea of what neighborhood we're in. And about 125, I think it's more than that now, of AES designated schools. So that gives you some sense of the area in which we're working. But it doesn't mean that's where we want to work. It means we want to work everywhere across the country. So if you have a school that is not in that orange area that would like to be an America's Entrepreneurial School, we definitely want to talk to you. One of the things that an America's Entrepreneurial School gets as part of working with this is when they send in their report and they tell us what they've done and what they've accomplished, and we look at it and says, yep, looks like you did it. We name them an America's Entrepreneurial School, and we send them a banner that they can hang in the hallway. It is amazing, has been amazing to me how important that banner is. That schools like to be recognized for their great work. Sometimes they don't get the kind of recognition they should. And when they do something, they want to be recognized for it, and we want to recognize them. So you can see the pictures here. The one at the top is from Clay County, West Virginia, and they have 6 schools in their school system, and all 6 of them became America's Entrepreneurial Schools in the same year. And so the very next fall, when all the teachers were getting together to kick off the school year, we got them all together and we presented all the banners for the whole school system at one time. And I just love that picture. For a small rural county to do it all at once is just a great thing in my book. You see some of the other pictures there. We have elementary schools. The bottom left, we have a pre-K to 8 school. And in the bottom right, we have a career center, and that Calhoun Gilmer Career Center was our very first America's Entrepreneurial School. So you can see that we are offering this to schools of every variety. Next.
Okay, so you all know about National Entrepreneurship Week, because if you didn't, then you wouldn't probably be here right now. So as Jean mentioned, back in 2006, we worked with Kauffman to get a congressional charter for National Entrepreneurship Week. That's very exciting. In the past several years, we have really tried to build some momentum, and with Megan and Amber taking most of the work, we have tried to build some momentum around this week. The Hallmark card has not come out yet, but I think we can probably get that started pretty soon. But it's been a really wonderful success. We've been able to share our best practices, and we've been able to hear from best practices all over the country. Our friend likes to say from Maine to Maui, is Joe's saying. So it's been a wonderful a wonderful thing that we've been able to uplift in the last couple of years. So now I'm going to talk to you about another thing that we have called the EntreEd Talk podcast. That's my Bitmoji in the left-hand corner. So we started this podcast, Amber Ravenscroft and I started it over a year ago, and we're about at 6,000 downloads and growing. We have such a wide variety of guests. It's about a half hour, 45-minute show, wherever you get your podcasts, so check it out. But we have had educators that are doing great things with entrepreneurship and education, and we've had students that are doing great things in entrepreneurship. We've had just a variety of entrepreneurs in the world. We've had foundations that support entrepreneurship education. We've had authors. We've had everything you can imagine. But the thread through all of them is that they always offer something really important that educators can take away from and even potentially use in their practice. We even have some teachers that use some of the podcast episodes as sort of a flipped classroom where they can use the episode as a launching point for a discussion. So it's been a labor of love and very, very interesting journey. And so I hope everybody checks it out. Plus, the host is really, really funny. It's me. All right, Jean, you could talk about the forum a little bit and what we're planning on, maybe what we're planning on doing this year.
Yeah, first, I noticed we have one question in the chat box. Anybody else wants to put a question in the chat box, feel free. I think we'll have time at the end to come back and address all those questions. So we're not ignoring the chat at the moment, but we'll come back to that. Another thing that we do and have been doing for well over 30 years is the EntreEd Forum. And that is a national conference for teachers. And we have, again, a variety of speakers. We have entrepreneurship educators. We also have entrepreneurs themselves. We try to work with some entrepreneurial students into it. And we help teachers of every variety learn how to build entrepreneurial activities into whatever they teach, how to integrate them into whatever their state standards are. And we feel like if lots of teachers in a building are doing that, then that means they are probably reaching every student in their building. So we work with teachers, and we have some community college folks that come. We have had university folks that come. But that's something we've been doing for better than 30 years until COVID hit us this year. And we had it scheduled last November and we had to cancel. We are looking for another date this fall. We hope to be back this fall. We have a workshop planned for some teachers that are in a grant region for us that we're going to try to do in July, perhaps. With COVID, it's hard to say we're absolutely all going to get together face to face at any particular time, but that's kind of what we're thinking. But we do believe in face to face. This Zoom conferencing is a wonderful alternative, but it's not the same thing. We agree that face to face is always the best, so we're going to try to get back to that as soon as we can.
So why entrepreneurship education? If we haven't hit that point already, it's just very important for everyone. It's, again, the driving force of the American economy, creates jobs, it fuels the pipeline for entrepreneurs, and drives social change, which is very topical these days. But what's really nice and a little bit unexpected for me is that when I do get to work with actual humans in person, these students are so amazing because this generation of young people want to do good. They want to have a career and they want to be successful, but I see over and over and over again, they want to make a good change in the world, which makes me feel good about our future. But it's something that's really nice to see. And, where our nation is in decline in entrepreneurship, and that's putting us at risk and making us less competitive. So that's the bigger reason. Our aim always has been to increase entrepreneurial intention and self-efficacy. What the heck does that mean, Toy? Well, I'm going to tell you. When you expose students to entrepreneurship, especially at the K through 12 level, and our philosophy is every student, every year, year over year. So they're getting these great experiences, hands-on, usually project-based learning types of experiences with entrepreneurship. And that's going to not only introduce them to entrepreneurship, but make them a lot more confident in their ability to become an entrepreneur someday. So they have that self-efficacy. Like they might say, well, I might go work for a little while for somebody else, but then I know that I have what it takes because I've been exposed to this and I've built my entrepreneurial mindset that I can go do this for myself if I want to. And those mindsets are so important, not only for the students who eventually become entrepreneurs, but what company doesn't want to hire an employee who comes with the technical skills needed, but also with leadership ability, communications ability, the ability to persevere through challenging things, the ability to identify opportunities in the market. That works whatever you do. That's a growth mindset. That works no matter what. And so that's, we're building those critical thinking skills. And we want students to walk out of their education career and have all of those things so they can go in any direction that they want. So, and again, entrepreneurship is lacking in K through 12. It's getting a little more traction at the university and community college levels, but it's just not as common in K through 12, which is where we want to see it every student every year. So ways that we collaborate. Jean, do you want to talk about this one or do you want me to talk about it?
Well, I can take this and you're free to chime in. You've seen a lot of the projects that we work on, and we are more than happy to collaborate with you. If your school would like to be an AES or America's Entrepreneurial School, we're more than happy to talk to you about that. If you would like to have some of our training that trains any kind of teacher how to offer entrepreneurship in their class, we have some online versions of that. And when we can meet face-to-face, we'd like to do that too. We have had some wonderful opportunities in working with universities and colleges. We work with the high school business plan competition that West Virginia University puts on. We have a grant where we're working currently with 8 or 9 community colleges to serve the K-12 in their region, in each of those colleges' region. So we have lots of ways that we already have that we would collaborate with you. But as you're hearing about us and thinking about entrepreneurship in K-12, if an idea comes to you, we'd like to hear about it. Many of the things that we're doing right now came because somebody said, you know what we need? This is what we need. And we kind of took an idea and ran with it. So we're looking to be very collaborative with you.
Yeah, we're always looking for cool, innovative partnerships. And as Jean mentioned before, we don't have a curriculum that we sell because we know that there was great stuff out there. We have some resources though that teachers can absolutely use in their classroom. We have a student-facing course, but again, it's not something that we mandate or that we make people do, because what we like to do is promote the best practices that we see happening out in the world. And we have a lot of buddies in the field that have great curriculum, and depending on the school's needs, depending on all kinds of things, some are more appropriate than others, depending on the situation. But we are always looking for cool partnerships, and we're always looking to learn about what other folks are doing, because we'd like to know. We're the advocacy group for entrepreneurship education, so we want to know what's going on. All right, are there any questions? I can't see the chat, so.
Oh, okay, then I'll take that because I can see it.
Wizard.
I can see it, so I'll take that. First, Camila, I hope I am pronouncing your name right, says that they're interested in the research. Can you share it? I contacted your organization last week, but have not heard back. Oh, that's not good. We hope you would have heard back. But in terms of research, what we have discovered is when people are looking for reasons to do that, there's two things they look for. One is they want those stories that pull your heartstrings and show success of individual kids and individual schools. But there are others who want the data. And we have found that data is really difficult to collect in this area. We've had some grant opportunities where grant providers want to know how many jobs and how many businesses will this create? Well, if you're talking about delivering entrepreneurship to kindergartners, what's the length of that study before you determine whether it worked or not? I mean, even with high school kids, whether they started businesses while they're in high school or immediately thereafter is sort of immaterial, because what we hope for is maybe they'll start it while they're in college. Maybe they'll work for somebody else for 20 years and then start one. The average age of entrepreneurs these days, according to the Kauffman Foundation, is about 40. So we feel like if we give kids enough information early, when they get in that position where they say, this is for me, they'll have enough of a background to feel good about that decision. But going back to absolute data, I have to tell you, we're looking for some partners to do some things. As Toy told you, she's working on her doctorate and she's doing a research study right now. But in terms of something with data we could send you, we can send you the anecdotal stories, but the hard data is just hard to collect.
I have some. Most of the studies that I have are done at the university level, but I do have a few that were done in K through 12. I hope I'm pronouncing. I can't see. I can't see anybody. I can't see everybody. But on the next slide, my email is on there. If you send me an email or if you put yours in the chat, I will be happy to forward all of that to you. It's some really interesting stuff. But I'm living in the data right now, so that's why I have it at my fingertips.
All right, Clint Day says, what is AES? That's America's Entrepreneurial Schools. That's the school designation that I referred to. Next question is, how do you distinguish, oh, this is a really good one. How do you distinguish between entrepreneurship education and business education? The writer says, in a project I led before, we found quote unquote entrepreneurial spirit to be more comprehensive and useful. In other words, entrepreneurship education is not just to go into business, but to be entrepreneurial in all aspects of one's life. We would not disagree with that at all. We have found that entrepreneurship educators fall into two groups. One is the group that looks at entrepreneurship education as including all of those things like finance and marketing and management and all those small business management pieces. And as I said, we're pretty flexible. And if that's your state standard for your entrepreneurship course, and that's what you have to teach, I think that's valuable. But we are also really focused in places where we call it the entrepreneurial mindset. You call it the entrepreneurial spirit. I don't know that I don't like yours even better. But the entrepreneurial mindset helps somebody not only become a better business owner, but also a better employee. If they think about problems in their workplace like an entrepreneur would think about it, they become a better employee. And I think in terms of aspects of one's life, even beyond their career, certainly if you're working with your church or your community and you bring entrepreneurship to that, that's a good thing. But we see both sides of that, and we sort of like the mindset piece, but we'll work with folks who are more focused on the small business management piece. At my school, Career Prep, I'm doing the digging for resources. Found EntreSkills out of New York. We like them. They do a good work. I would say first, go to our website, see what we have. Look at perhaps our Kickstarters. You might find some things there helpful. And then let us know and we can put you in touch with some other folks. We try to portray the role of the honest broker when it comes to resources and curriculum. And frankly, from your question, I'm not sure, Angela, whether you're looking for just pieces to plug in here and there or whether you want a full-blown curriculum. But we can help you with that. And we're going to send out you can go to our website or you're going to see our emails in just a few minutes.
Actually, I'll just put them on here now.
Oh,
So
okay.
please feel free to email either of us directly and we can, and definitely Camilla, put your email or send me an email or put your thing in the chat because I will send you some things.
And Clint says, amen to entrepreneurial mindset. We agree with that.
Entrepreneurial mindset's a hard thing to quantify. It kind of trips up everybody because it applies across the board to anyone can be entrepreneurially minded. And
well, I found a book. I'm going to send you guys a copy, just written by a member of the board of NFTE, Nifty, that title is Entrepreneurial Mindset. And he does as good a job as anyone I've ever read or heard of in defining it. But essentially, it's a way of thinking, to see opportunities that others don't see and to be comfortable with risk. And there's a whole lot below both of those.
very cool.
Yep, I think you're right. I think what happens with mindset is lots of people have some very good descriptions of it. The Eli mindset that Gary Schoninger has is different from some others, but I totally agree with it. So I think that it takes a little bit of research, and Clint, thanks for bringing that resource to our attention. Mindset in any case is important.
It's really fun trying to describe it to a doctoral committee. I don't suggest anybody try to do that.
Yes. I got to send you the book, Toya. I got to say.
I'm just thankful that one person on my committee is very well versed in all of this stuff. So she's been very helpful.
All right, other people are looking to connect. I see that Megan put up our website address. So if everybody that's on the chat wants to just click on that, you'll find that. Oh, Victoria Howard, the Kickstarters are terrific. My students love them. That's the kind, I don't know, we have a lot of research, but that's the kind of data we like.
That's good data.
What's the U.S. government doing to promote or strengthen entrepreneurship education, whether it's Department of Ed or others? I believe I found something out of Department of Treasury. Well, I'm going to give you two bits of information. Wednesday of this week, National Entrepreneurship Week, is Federal Agency Day. And if you look at the events that we have scheduled, you'll find that we're bringing on folks from the ones you would expect, Department of Labor, Department of Commerce, those kinds of folks, but also folks from the NIH and NASA and places that you might not think have an entrepreneurial purpose. But they're all going to talk about what they're doing. And I think if you're interested in what the U.S. government is doing, that's about 3 hours. It's 3 different sessions with different groups of federal agencies in each session. I think you would like that. I will also say that each of those agencies has their own focus. So you might find that depending on what your focus is, some of them might match, some might not. We have tried to we work with the Appalachian Regional Commission and have been very close with them. We have contacted some other agencies And for example, for our purposes, if they're focused on immediate job creation, which Department of Commerce would be, then we are having a little bit of trouble finding common ground to work on. So as you look at the various federal agencies, just know that each of them has sort of a different viewpoint, and take that into consideration as you're talking to them. Toy, they want to know about the recording. When can they get this recording?
Ooh, that might be a Megan question. Or do we have a planned time of release, Megan?
I'll post it on YouTube sometime this week.
There you go.
You can find it on our social channels from there. There'll be the link.
All right,
Thank you.
YouTube sometime this week. Everybody wants the name of your book, Clint. So why don't you post it in the chat so everybody
I'm typing right now.
Okay.
Yeah, Nifty. We had Nifty on the I guess he's the president of Nifty, J.D. LaRock, on our podcast not too long ago, and he's brilliant and just fascinating conversation. Really cool guy, super nice. And they do really good work. We like them. We have several teachers that work with us that also work with Nifty as well.
How about Department of Education? At least for the last several years, that's been sort of a difficult way to go. I'm hoping that will change with the new administration, but frankly, departments of education have been really focused on things they can test. And so, you know, when you're looking at school performance, it's tough to make. We could make the argument that integrating entrepreneurship could make your test scores go up, but we do not for sure have that data. So, you know, Department of Ed has not been a close partner of ours.
Jean, on the hi everyone, this is Amber. On the Department of Ed side, I would say that it's probably embedded underneath like Perkins or workforce programs. So there's not like an explicit maybe entrepreneurship education line item, but that it would be rooted in like innovation and workforce development and career exploration currently. So there's not really a separation there, but where it's explicitly stated, but that would be where I think the most pockets of innovation are happening.
Yeah, a lot of thank you, Amber. That a lot of states are putting entrepreneurship in their career and college readiness standards. We just learned we were on Pennsylvania's list of approved people that approved organizations for entrepreneurship. So we're seeing a lot of that. Again, though, we love being in career and tech. Jean and I both have career tech background, but that could only hit a small population of students if it's just in career tech and nowhere else. So, but yeah, but it's in state standards in a lot of different places.
And also going back to the federal agencies, the Department of Commerce has a program called their competency models. And they have a competency model for every career pathway. And of course, if you go down their career pathways, you don't find entrepreneurship as a career pathway. But if you keep going down the list, you come to something called other. And that's where you find entrepreneurship. And EntreEd was involved in putting that competency model together. Oh golly, probably 15 years ago. And now they've asked us to come back and update it. So we're in the process of doing that. So if you're looking in terms of competency models for entrepreneurship or elsewhere, Department of Commerce has that. Just Google competency models. Let's see. Megan, what is the YouTube channel?
The link is posted in the chat now. So you can find our YouTube channel there, and you can also go to entreed.org and find links for like our Twitter and Facebook and all of our social channels.
And please do that. Thank you, Megan.
think it's like EntreEd TV, but there's a couple that are similar. So you might get off in the weeds on a search. So do what Megan said instead.
Are we connected with any of the international efforts? The answer to that is no, we're not. At this moment, we're really focusing on moving across the United States. Although, again, that would not be something we would turn down if there were an opportunity. But currently, we are not working outside the US.
We are in Hawaii, though.
I don't think they like being described as outside the US, though. No, there's really an active group out there in Hawaii that's doing a great job with entrepreneurship education. And with this National Entrepreneurship Week, they celebrate it and do all kinds of things every year. It's really fun. I keep trying to find an opportunity for them to bring us over to see what they're doing. But so far, we have not been able to set that up.
I called dibs.
Anything else, folks?
I think we should take a field trip over to the Hawaiian branch.
I agree, Clint.
Clint, help us find a funder, and we're there.
I'll work on it.
You know, you higher ed folks, you're a whole lot better at finding funders than nonprofits. So, you
I don't
know,
know about that.